Welcome to my shop. Hello, lumberjacks and friends on YouTube. Today I've been working on something that just may save your life, because they say dust kills. Anyway, for this simple little project, or you might even call it an invention or adaptation, you need a 5-gallon pail, or a 2.5-gallon pail would actually do just as well. This is an oil, 5-gallon oil bucket that is sold by the millions, and they can be picked up just about anywhere. You have to take the lid off, and there's a fancy little tool here that you can get that makes it a lot easier to take the lid off, but you can take it off just with your fingers pulling up on the tabs or a screwdriver or whatever. Anyway, I guess you just want to see what this invention is that will save your life. So I'll take the camera and give you a little tour here what I've been doing. Okay, what I've got here is a shroud to pick up dust from when you're sanding faceplate type projects. So what I've done here is I've taken that pail and cut the bottom off. I wanted a smaller pail, but I didn't have a short enough one, so I just cut the bottom off and made it for a piece of plywood in the bottom. And I actually think in the end that is actually a little better idea. I've cut the side out here so you can access your chuck and give a place for sanding when you're sanding on the outside of a bowl. As I was doing this, I discovered if I put the jaws in, I could make this unit here slip right over the chuck, so you could have the chuck on and then put it on or have it on. Also, I've got about 3-4 inches of clearance here, so for shorter bowls I can move this back. You can move it back and gain a little bit more space there. I cut a hole in the back, and if you cut it to the size of the small part of the spiral on the dust collection hose, you can just start it and it'll spiral right in. That's a very easy way to connect the dust collection hose. Okay, there's something else here that I did to the lid. Hopefully you can see this. I also cut the lid out. If you had a bucket that didn't have that hole, you wouldn't have that hole. Now when you take the bucket off, a lot of these things are on so tight that you have a really struggle. So I want to be able to put this on and off. So I've taken the bandsaw and I've cut those little tabs back so they're easier to put on. Now for the spindle, putting on the outside of the, watch what I'm doing here. That'll just snap on very easily. Okay, now I'm all set to go. First operation here, I'll just sand on the outside. I'll sand it without the dust collector on, and then with the dust collector on. You'll see how it works. And then the next operation, I'll be putting this back on. Show you a super simple way to do that. I've kind of just built this with the idea in mind, and then things kind of developed on the way as I did things here. So I'm fairly satisfied with what I've done, but I'm anxious to see how it works. Okay, for this first test, I've put a new 80 grit on the sanding pad here, and you'll probably see some dust flying from it without the dust collector on, and then I'll turn the dust collector on and we'll see how it goes there. So now I've got it set up for the sanding the inside of a bowl or a hollow turning. I've put the part of the bucket that I've cut off to do the sanding the outside on. The backing plate for the basic bucket was cut round, and then a cord was cut off across that piece from side to in the opening part, and then of course it was screwed. This lid or door was screwed to that, so it kept the shape nicely. To attach it to the bucket, originally I was going to put a hinge down here and then bring it up and then tape it here. But after I built it here, I come up with this idea, well, why not just put one screw in here? So I just put one screw into there, that joined it back to the circle for the bottom of the bucket. And then at the top here, and it should be at the bottom here, I took a section of the lid that I cut out in this section. The only trouble is, I thought for some reason I was going to need the whole thing, but it just got in the way when you were sanding the outside. So I ended up with not enough to make two of these. I only ended up with one. So then and then I cut the bucket, inside of the bucket piece off, or the outside, whatever it is there, just to make a little clip. That could even be a little longer, and then you just clip it on there. It could be one clipped on here, but since I don't have one, I just put a piece of duct tape there. And so we're basic, and also I've taken and slid this back a little ways there, so it brings the bowl out a little farther. This bowl type project was done a year or so back and never finished, so it's a little bit out of round, so it bounces a little bit. So I've put some 80 grit on this thing here so you can see it. This was something I made up for sanding the inside of hollow turnings. It's just got a dowel with a slot in it, and then you bring your sandpaper in and then just twist it. That'll lock it. I brought it around, put a screw in here and some soft foam here. So I think I can go in here and you can see how it's working there, see if there's any dust produced. So I'll do it like I did before, turn it on and see if the dust is. Well, I don't know if you could see the dust there because of the resolution of the video, but I could see it, and it was getting into my throat here. The first video, when I did it, I had to do it twice because it got in my throat and I started to cough, and before I turned the dust collector on. So let's turn the dust collector on and the machine here. This circle here, you can feel it with my hand, and I wasn't getting any dust thrown at me, and so I didn't have to cough or anything there. But anyway, that's I think this working quite well. I cut about a foot off of this bucket to do this one. I was kind of going by this turning that I had here, so I'd have enough distance here to do this one, because I didn't have time to make a shallower one, but I think this will work quite well. I can go back another 3 inches here with the little stand here that I made. But I'm quite happy with it, and it's something you might want to consider for doing bowls or so on and so forth as a dust collection shroud. I've also got a plan for a spindle turning a method that'll revolutionize dust pickup on spindle turning, but I'll have to work on that a little bit. Anyway, if you subscribe, then you'll get that update. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.